Good morning, I'm Greg McCann and this is Mission Alive. This is the second part of a series of talks I'm giving on the history of the MSCs in China. In the last recording I explained that the MSCs were invited in 1925 to go to China. The North German province of the MSCs took up the challenge and they were sent to a place called Shenzhen, which is in the southwestern part of China. I explained that China, the Guizhou section was very, very mountainous and very rugged and very wild, and that where they were going to, Shenzhen, was not such a very big place, and it was surrounded by huge mountains. We talked about the missionaries arriving in Shanghai and how they had to get a junk to go from up the Yangtze River from Shanghai. Then they had to change to a smaller boat to go up to the tributary, and then they finally got off that small boat and had to walk 80 kilometres to their destination. So they arrived, and after 5 months the three of them were reduced to two because Father Jehepawa drowned while crossing a river. Now, they were met on their arrival at Shenzhen by the Parish Missionary Society priests. And I'd just like to say a couple of words about that first. At the beginning of the 19th century, the Paris Missionary Society had been sent by Rome and France to Guizhou province, and by the 1870s it had established itself and had its own seminary for training priests. It was extraordinarily successful. The remains of this seminary can be seen above. There it is there, and over here as well. It's still revered today by Catholics who go there every year to celebrate Mary's birthday. Anyway, I'll talk more about that later. It's a very interesting building, that one. So anyway, to get back to our story, by 1927, 6 more priests had been sent from Germany. So the first 3 came and they landed in Shanghai. They also were delayed for some months because of the Civil War. But finally, they got a boat and after many difficulties reached Beijing, and finally the last 80 kilometres walk across to Shenzhen. So they made it. So now there were 5. But the other 3 priests that were coming were not far behind. The next 3 priests unfortunately were not so lucky. During the journey, they were shipwrecked on the Yangtze River. And when they finally arrived at Beijing, ready to walk the 80 kilometres, they received a message not to go any further because of the political disturbances and the bandits. Father Winkelmann was the boss, he was the superior. He made them stay on the banks of the tributary river for 5 months until he himself could come and get them. However, this was a very fateful decision for Father Winkelmann, because on his way to collect the 3 missionaries, he was shot and killed by the bandits. In 1929, the mission itself was attacked by bandits who plundered the mission station and held the fathers prisoners. Father Baumeiser spent 8 very unpleasant days as a guest of the bandits. The missionaries must have been living in a continual state of tension. Father Wesselman had experience of this tension when he was visiting one of his outstations. While he was riding his mule, a mire barrage of bullets opened up from the side of the track. The mule went down with a bullet in its neck, and he himself was struck in the foot. 20 bandits approached him and relieved him of anything worthwhile. Father Wesselman was then compelled to write to Father Balmeiser for a ransom that they demanded of $200. Unfortunately, the authorities forced the bandits to hand over the priest without paying the money. That's another example of the kind of situation that the missionaries were living in. So one of the few photos I could get of a wrecked junk on the Yangtze River. Probably not the type of junk the priests would have been on, but it might have been like that, I don't know. And then there's part of the tributary, and the way they would all line up with a rope and pull the boats over the shallow water of the Yangtze, because it's quite shallow in some parts. Down here we have a photograph of the local authorities. The kind of, like, if you want, the police of the day. They don't look too good, do they? They're a funny bunch. Anyway, they were the ones that negotiated that Father Balmeiser be released. So at least they must have had some sort of power. This particular photograph is actually of a Paris Missionary Society priest on his horse. The only one I could find, but that's what it would have been like. It would have been exactly like that when he was shot. And he was on the mule, got shot in the neck, and then he got shot in the foot. An extraordinary situation.